Hi, welcome to Cooking Fresh, Cooking Local. I'm Meredith Poffenberger, and we're here on location at Antietam Iron Works in Sharpsburg, Maryland, at a Stonecrest Farms beef tasting dinner. Come on inside and see what the show has to offer you today. Did you know that the family farm is endangered? Did you know that eating fresh and local food not only tastes better, they are healthier for you, and it actually helps conserve energy? My passion for preserving farmland, cooking, eating healthy, and supporting local farms and businesses caused me to create this show, Cooking Fresh, Cooking Local. Join us each week as we visit local farms by way of the culinary creations of chef-host Carl Brown and other guest chefs. Cooking Fresh, Cooking Local will show you how to prepare easy, delicious, healthy meals using fresh and local ingredients. Join the Buy Local Challenge by tuning in to Cooking Fresh, Cooking Local and supporting your local farms and businesses. Remember, when you're cooking fresh, you're cooking local. Thank you. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Alternative Choices, your healthy alternative for foods, vitamins, herbs, and health practices. At Alternative Choices, we offer everything from quality supplements to children and pet products. Alternative Choices also offer nutritional counseling and will assist you in choosing the right kind of foods or nutritional supplements that will help you achieve your health-related goals. Feel like a kid again with Alternative Choices. 32 North Allison Street in downtown Greencastle. Health the way nature intended.
We are Byron's Dining Room at the Mercersburg Inn, 405 South Main Street, Mercersburg, PA. Elegant lodging, fine dining, weddings, social and business events, and restaurant seating. Open Thursday through Sunday, 5:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Reservations recommended. Give us a call today at 717-328-5231. This segment of Cooking Fresh, Cooking Local is brought to you by Valley Homes and Style magazine. The recipes on today's show will be printed exclusively in Valley Homes and Style magazine. To pick up a free copy, visit our website at www.homeandstyle.com or join the Valley Style Club and subscribe today for a discount at many of the Valley's best restaurants, services, and shops.
Hi everyone, I'm Meredith Poffenberger with Stonecrest Farms in Sharpsburg, Maryland, and this is my husband, Brian Poffenberger. He's the farmer, and he's the, as the chef Carl likes to say, the man behind the curtain. He's the one that produces very delicious, very tender beef that I hope all of you enjoy tonight. And our first guest speaker tonight is Scott Barao. He is Executive Director of the Maryland Cattlemen's Association. This is Scott here. He'd like to talk to you a little bit about local versus grocery store beef and the nutritional values in it and so forth, and we'll also pass around 2 taste samples while he's talking.
Talk me into this? Yes. Seems rather weird. Well, Meredith, thank you, and the wizard too. Thank you very much. Well, it's a pleasure to be here with my wife, Teresa. As Meredith said, I'm the Executive Director of the Maryland Cattlemen's Association. We are the single largest commodity organization in the state of Maryland. We're quite proud of that. And we're based in Sykesville, Maryland. Our role is kind of twofold. Part of our role is political action, helping to make it easier for farmers to do what they do. And the other part of our work is on the promotion side through the Maryland Beef Industry Council, where we help promote beef, specifically Maryland beef, to consumers all around the state. We have a registered dietitian that works for us full-time, and she delivers programs to dietitians and doctors and other health professionals. We're active in a variety of programs related to diet and health. On the beef side, we support the 4-H program, the Ag in the Classroom program through our Maryland Beef Council. And all of the dollars that support that activity actually come from producers like Bill and Brian, who pay into a checkoff program that helps to fund our activities. So it's a real pleasure, and it's been nice to have a chance to visit with folks here tonight. I get the feeling that most of you already have some knowledge related to local production, organic or natural production. Certainly aside from the health benefits, the nutritional differences, these type of things, there is no question that a locally produced product is good for Maryland agriculture. It's good for the county-based agriculture. It's good for the state-based agriculture. To keep the dollars in Maryland to support products that are born, bred, and raised in Maryland makes good sense. If you have an interest in seeing, if you will, open space, if you will, agricultural production in the state, you have to realize that the farmers that maintain that land have got to make a living. You know, it's a little altruistic to think that they would keep open space just for the enjoyment of the general public. It doesn't work that way. You don't work for free. I don't work for free. The farmers can't work for free. So agriculture has got to be profitable. That doesn't take away from the opportunity for it to be sustainable, but it has to be profitable. And so when you purchase locally produced products, you're keeping those dollars clearly in the economy that's keeping that engine running, whether it's Washington County or anywhere else in this state. So we're, at the Cattlemen's Association, are big proponents of locally produced, locally sold, locally consumed agriculture, and specifically on the beef side. Now, with that said, you know, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to export our cattle out of the state and to put a bunch of somebody else's resources into them and then bring the beef back here. It's not a very efficient program, efficient system, certainly, and you end up with a product that at times you have very little knowledge about. More and more, I believe that consumers are interested in knowing where their food comes from, knowing where it's produced, meeting the people that produce the food, and having a relationship, if you will, on the food consumption side of their life. We're blessed with a population in this region that I think have higher than average education, certainly higher than average income, and they're willing to put that income towards products that they desire. And there's a huge desire for locally produced products, whether it's meat, dairy, vegetables, it doesn't matter. And there are just many, many examples across this county and other counties in the state of where that's working well. So if you want to kind of transition a minute, are you going to do some samples? Mm-hmm. Not only are you supporting locally produced agriculture and the whole kind of system, but you're also going to get a better product. I believe that farmers like Brian and Meredith, like Bill and Mary, and so many others have a deep, deep desire to produce a high quality product. And they know that they're going to be accountable. You see, somebody out in the Midwest that feeds cattle in a feedlot and sends the beef here, there's no accountability. You have no face to go with that product. If you're not happy, what do? You have an opportunity in this situation to meet the people producing it, the same people consuming it for their own families, and to support that system. So, Meredith, is this the grocery store version? Yes. Okay. Then you'll have an opopportunity to
Where does it come? The beef that butchered and sent here.
Beef that comes into Maryland, we are, I should tell you that we're a net importer of beef. We don't produce anywhere near the amount of beef that we consume as a state. The vast majority comes from the Midwest. You know, I would say you're looking at about 70% of it from Ohio back this way, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Illinois, Indiana. But you still get Colorado beef, Nebraska beef, comes in vacuum packed big chunks, gets cut up in the stores and sold. And I'm not saying that there's necessarily anything wrong with that. All I'm saying is that you have no knowledge, zero knowledge other than a USDA label about the production methods, about the way the cattle were handled, about the stewardship practices from the farms from which that beef came from. You have no knowledge, and you have no hope of getting any knowledge in any of those areas. Contrast that with, for example, the beef that Brian and Meredith offer here tonight. You can ride up the road and see the farm. You can see the cattle. You can meet the folks that are raising it. You can understand and learn about their stewardship practices. My goodness, Bill and Mary, Brian's dad and mom, won a National Stewardship Award for their work protecting the environment within the context of a cattle operation.
Wow. Wonderful. Yeah.
And I mean, that's to me what it's all about. To be able to come out and understand where your food came from. If you've got a problem, Meredith and Brian, they'll stand behind the product. If you have a problem with it, you're not happy with the taste, you didn't like the way it was cut, you go see Meredith and Brian. You follow me, though? And at the same time, you're supporting the local food system. Now, in the case of Brian and Meredith, their choice has been to raise these cattle without the use of growth hormones, implants, feed additives, because they have defined a system that works for them. You can't go into a retail store and say, I'd like, now you do have opportunities to buy, quote, organic, whatever that means, but you can't go and say, I want 6 New York strips raised without implants. It just doesn't work that way. So if you're worried about your diet, if you're conscious of what you're consuming, whether it's on the meat side or the produce side, your only hope of that type of diet is through locally produced agriculture. Does that make sense? And I think the final piece that you really need to pay attention to is that in this region with the Chesapeake Bay and all the tributaries that feed into the bay and all of our concern, rightly so, about our impact on the ecosystem, when you can go out to a place like the Poffenburgers and see the stewardship practices that are indirectly protecting the bay, that are conserving resources, that have land in permanent pasture so it's not eroding away, that you can see habitat that's been created for birds. One of the things that Bill and Mary, that stood out in their application was the loggerhead shrike, this bird that lives on, in the county, but certainly many on their property, that takes their food, and it's probably a little graphic, but they stick it on the thorns of the rose bushes, right? And they let it dry age and go get it later. But that habitat that they've created was within the context of their cattle operation. They didn't mow it all down. They took into account the fact that they were part of a bigger system. And they wanted to hand the farm down to the family, and they wanted to be good stewards of the environment. And if you do nothing more, whether you care about your diet, if you do nothing more than to support that type of stewardship, you're doing a great service for the state, for the county. And then you're enjoying some great beef.
Hi, I'm Judy Larkin, the Tea Lady.
Judy Larkin, the Tea Lady, has crossed 3 oceans and 26 countries and 4 continents in a continuous quest to learn more about the world of tea. She is known for her humorous yet informative presentations and specializes in the cultural and historical aspects of tea. For your next program, contact the Tea Lady for an event to remember.
Hello, I'm Meredith Poffenberger of Stonecrest Farms in Sharpsburg, Maryland. My husband has been farming all his life and truly enjoys producing healthy, high-quality beef for our family and our customers.
Hi, I'm Reverend Delancey Cadlett, and the store-bought beef had a good flavor, but the home-raised farm beef was excellent. It was tender, juicy, and had an excellent flavor to it.
Stonecrest Farms beef is Maryland bred and fed for consistently tender, delicious beef. Stonecrest Farms beef can be ordered by calling us or visiting our website, stonecrestfarms.com. Now I would like to introduce my father-in-law, Bill Poffenberger, Brian's father. He is the steward, or the original steward of the land that my husband now manages. And I'd like for Bill to talk to you the way he cares for the land and his family.
Meredith told me I have 2 minutes. As Scott knows, and he is the better part of the Maryland Cattlemen's Association, but for the past 2 years I've been president. So, and I've known Scott probably for 15 or 18 years, I'm not sure, but he has a nice family. He has 2 young daughters and a very good wife, and we spent some time on this stewardship thing. And without Scott, I probably would not have been on the stewardship thing. But it is quite an honor to do so. There's only 7 families in the United States that gets that honor. So you got to start realizing where we're coming from. But without Scott, I would not have got that. But we do run a farm in the 80s. If you'd have come out Mondale Road, you would have probably saw at least 1,000 acres of corn growing, mud running across the road. And now if you come out Mondale Road, there is 14 acres of grass. We have went to the grass thing, including neighbors. I have convinced neighbors to do so. The farm that I work with, that Brian is now working with because I'm too old, is 550 acres. It started out. They're down to about 490 because the C&O Canal runs right along the edge of the farm. It started out with a pony project. It went on, and Brian was part of the pony project as a little chap about yay big. And it turned into, he helped me with the farm because if you don't eat, or if you don't work, you don't eat. I'm sorry. It's the way it works at my place. This is my wife, Mary. We have 6 children. Brian happens to be the youngest one. But we have 5 older ones, but at the same time, they had steer projects in 4-H. That's how we got involved. I had a son come home, a little blonde-haired boy, about 9 years old. Said, Dad, I want to steer. Never had that opportunity as a young man. I had to work. And we went out in the field and picked out a steer, and believe it or not, he had champion steer that year at the county fair. So that started the process. And one particular year, steers weren't selling very good at the county fair. Prices were down. I don't know what year it was because I'm getting too old for that anymore. But I said, Scott, prices are not good. Let's take it home. We actually bought the steer back. This is a 4-H project. Best steer I ever ate in my life. From then on, we do not eat the secondhand information or a secondhand steer. We eat the best because we can raise it. Brian and Meredith is doing a great job. Unless there's any questions, I'm going to let it go at that. And I thank you very much for attending.
This segment of Cooking Fresh, Cooking Local is brought to you by Valley Homes and Style magazine. The recipes on today's show will be printed exclusively in Valley Homes and Style magazine. To pick up a free copy, visit our website at www.homeandstyle.com or join the Valley Style Club and subscribe today for a discount at many of the Valley's best restaurants, services, and shops.
We also have Ruth Ann Callahan, Director of Food Resources Incorporated in Hagerstown. She wanted to talk to the group a little bit this evening, too. So, Ruth Ann?
Thank you. I wanted the opportunity to share with you folks the same concept of stewardship. If you don't know already, I hope you will soon. Food Resources is a food bank warehouse. We have 12,000 square feet, and we serve the low-income, hard-working folks that cannot buy enough food and gasoline at the same time. I want to note there in the corner is one of our board members, Reverend Delancey Catlett. He's been with the organization much longer than I have and taught me most of what I know about food banking. To just give you a slight hint of the impact of what Meredith and Brian have done for us, if you think about a box of Cheerios, the American Second Harvest Network that we work with nationally works with the producers of those Cheerios to ensure that over 100 truckloads a year are put into the donated food distribution system, of which we are the end of that line. We work with Maryland Food Bank, and we move that cereal out to those families that cannot afford to buy it. And most of those families that we serve have children. Just a little note here that 40% of the children in our county qualify for a free or reduced meal at school. And I would be remiss if I did not honor the esteemed Miss Donna Brightman for being one of the school board members. And she'll tell you how important those meals are, that children cannot learn if they're hungry and they're not fed properly. But what's really the important issue here is this homegrown, don't use any chemicals type food, because it's the chemicals in food that so often impede that learning progress. Give me an amen on that, Donna? Absolutely. And I'll tell you, it says here in the brochure that happy cows managed from birth. And I grew up in the Southwest, brought up on range-fed cattle, and there is nothing happier than a cattleman. Now, Waylon Jennings, he has a song out there that you might be familiar with that admonishes mothers about the poor career choices of their children. And the lyric goes, mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. Well, I'll tell you, cattlemen are honest, they're hardworking, and you just can't find a better steward of the land. So my hat's off to Meredith and Brian for being happy people and raising happy cattle. And the piece I've yet to say, and I'll close with this, what they do with some of that meat. Now we have a little agreement that they use our freezer up there in our warehouse, and we give them a few hundred cubic feet to store frozen beef, and for that they let their really good hamburger go out to the agencies that serve those children that need that good meal before they go to school. So thank you very much for what you do.
I hope you enjoyed tonight. Please make yourselves at home. Eat, drink, and be merry.
All right, well, we're going to take a moment here to show you where the cuts of beef come from this steer. We appreciate Dylan bringing his steer out, this 4-H steer. It's a beautiful Angus, just a beautiful animal. We're going to try with some white paint to show you where the main cuts of beef come from. So if he'll cooperate, Dylan, you think he's ready? All right, we're going to draw a line right here. Okay. All right, somebody bring my knife. Oh, I'm just kidding. All right, now we're going to take a, we're going to go right here. And we'll talk about these in just a minute. Want to spin him back around? Well, we'll take a look back here. First of all, this is the round. This is the round. You've heard of top round of beef or steamship round of beef. It comes out of this area on the animal. And we can cut it a little further. And the top of this is called the rump. So this would, the rump roast that you'd be enjoying on a Sunday after church, come out of this area. And then this is the rest of the round, the bottom round. So if we move forward here with this fella into this next piece, this is the sirloin. Let me step over here. That S is the sirloin. And in front of that is the short loin. The short loin, that's where the quality cuts are going to be coming from. The short loin is where you're going to get your New York strip steaks. The tenderloin muscle sits right up in here. That's where the filet mignon comes from. And then as we move forward, we'll be up into the rib. And the rib is where your rib roasts come from, your ribeye steaks, Delmonico's. They come in the rib area of this animal. And then the front area is the chuck. You want to bring him back around, Dylan? That's okay. We'll take a minute. Beautiful. That's good. That's good. And up in here, well, that's probably going to scare him. Up in this front area, in this square, is the chuck. That's where chuck roasts come from. The lower part of the chuck down in here, in the front, is the brisket. That's where you'd get your brisket roasts from. And these cuts up in the front have a really nice beef flavor. They're not quite as tender as those from the middle part of the animal, but they do have a nice flavor. Now, we can draw a line right here. That's where flank steak comes from. So if you enjoy fajitas, that's where they're coming from, right out of there, right out of the flank. In this area is a plate, P for plate. In the plate, you'd get skirt steaks and a few other cuts that you'd use for stews. A lot of stew meat comes out of there. And then the foreshank, get some really nice soup bones out of that part of the animal, out of there, out of the foreshank. Okay, and then the same in the back, the hind shank. We'll put an R there for round. An RR for rump roast. Sirloin tip comes, well, the sirloin tri-tip comes right out of this area in here. That would be the sirloin tip roast, come out of there. This would be the top sirloin up in here. That's your higher quality sirloin. As you move down, you get into a little bit tougher, but really nice flavor as you get into the lower part of the sirloin. Okay, and short ribs. If you like short ribs, they come right out of this area. And of course, back ribs, when you take the ribeye steak off, you can be left with the back ribs, and they come off this R. Where the R is, that's the rib area. Okay?
Hi, my name is Maria, and I had the good fortune to taste Stonecrest Farms all-natural beef. I will say there is a huge difference within taste between a store-bought and Stonecrest beef. I urge people to go out to the farm so you can see how beautifully kept the animals are. The difference here is the Stonecrest beef, be it an all-natural beef, is very tender and delicious. You can really taste the difference because it isn't grass-fed. It's not as tough as some grass-feds would be. They use corn, and it really does have an incredible difference.
My name is Karen Riley, and I want to thank everybody for this opportunity. I thought the Stonecrest Farms beef had so much more flavor. It was so much richer in taste, and I know that it was the same in terms of its nutritional content. When I go to spend my grocery dollars, I want to make sure that I'm getting everything I can for the dollars that I'm spending, and I know that with this beef I'm getting something that is nutritional, that is wholesome, and something that's worth every cent. And so I thank Stonecrest Farms for doing this.
I'm Michelle Liefke. I'm with GoGreenGals.com, and I'm also the first eco-broker green realtor for Washington County and for Pennsylvania and this region. And I have to say that after trying the store-bought beef, and I could tell that it had flavoring in it to enhance it and to bring out some flavor in it, and it was good. And I thought there's nothing that could meet this Delmonico steak from, someplace I don't know. But after eating the Stonecrest beef, I was so pleasantly surprised, and it was very enjoyable. And I thank Meredith and Brian for introducing to me what locally I have available here at my fingertips.
Hi, my name is John Ganano. I'm from Back Creek Bend Farm, and we also raise locally produced beef in this region. And we've always known the difference in the flavor between store-bought beef and locally raised beef, and this time was no exception. The beef that we had tonight just had a flavor that was much richer and stronger than the store-bought beef. And aside from that, the way that you know where the beef came from is an essential part of what you want to eat. You want to eat something where you know where it came from, and that's the really, for me, the most important factor of eating local beef.
Hi, my name is Randy Barber, and my wife Melissa and I have a small fruit and berry farm in Roarsville. We have, since we've moved out here, been on the lookout for a source of local, naturally raised, pasture-fed organic beef, and we now know that we've found it. This is just a great opportunity to actually not only have really good tasting beef, but to be able to buy something that you know has been raised in a way that is, as they say, recognizes their obligation to stewardship for their customers, for the environment, and even for the animals that they're raising.
Hi, I'm David Coe. I live in this area, and one of the hardest things I found in cooking well for my family and friends is finding good meats to cook with. And what I found out is that locally grown beef is more reliable and tastes better than what I've been able to find in grocery stores. So I really enjoy the locally grown beef.